Well, it is April 3rd, and it's my pleasure to again welcome JP to Exopolitics Today.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Hello, JP. Great to have you back.
How you doing, Doc? It's a pleasure to be here and to bring this information, this update. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to open up a couple of minds out there about what's happening.
Now, you sent me some pictures about an incident that you first told me about it on March 27, about going to Eglin Air Force Base. And you showed me some pictures illustrating what you experienced. So you want to kind of like walk us through what's going on with that?
So I went to the VA. It's right next to Eglin. Then I got rerouted to go into the base. And when that happens, I know exactly how everything is run. You know, everything is done in precision. You know, everything is done like everybody knows where you're at. Everybody knows when you come out from the house, what time you get to the base. Like, you got people following you. You got people understanding your schedule in the, you know, anything that has to do with government. So it's really precise. And I went into the base. There's a unmarked vehicle, white one. It was a Tesla. It was a Tesla car, and the guy was like, "Follow me." And I looked at him, he looked at me, and he went like this to his head. And I'm like, "Okay, you want me to follow you?" He's like, "Yeah, just follow me." And then he gave that like sigh and, "Yeah, just follow me." So we went into the base and we took a back road. After the gas station, we went to a back road and we went to the same building where I saw the med beds. So I parked my vehicle and two security guys came out. You know, they were all packed and they took my keys and they took my wallet. They took my any electronics I had. And I followed the guy parked and I followed that guy into the building. I went inside the building and I went through the security. I went through the magnet. I went through two heavy doors. And then they had me sit down in this room with like 6 other soldiers. And we were just talking. "Hey, do you know why you're here?" "Oh, no, I don't know. Yeah, they just told us to come in here. You know, they wanted to talk to us." And I was, okay, cool. Nobody was aggressive. Everybody was calm. The doctor that came out, he was dressed in white, had a mask, white mask. And he had not shades, but he had some nice clear glasses. And he was calling the soldiers one by one to go with him, you know. And, you know, we were just waiting. And after that, he called me in and I saw a soldier come out and he was nervous. And I bumped him and I said, "Hey, you okay?" He's like, yeah, I'm all right." And he was not crying, but you could see his face. He was quite scared. And I'm like, "Oh, snaps. Okay. It's going to be one of those days." So I sat down. He checked my blood pressure. He checked my heart rate, and he says, "Okay, we're gonna bring you to this room, and you decide, if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, it's your take on that. But we kind of need you." And he started nodding his head, and he's like, "We kind of need you to do something for us." And I said, "When you say for us, who you are talking about?" He's like, "For us." He's like, "For maybe humanity, I guess." And I said, "Have you asked other people to do it?" I said, "Yeah, there's people doing it right now, but we need more people like you to tap in." And I'm like, "Tap in, okay." So he brought me into this room, and there was the glass, right? And when I look into the glass, I see a lot of beds, and soldiers were inside these beds. And I'm looking at each one, and they're just laying down, right? And they were wearing these beautiful helmets. They were calm. There was doctors walking up and down, monitoring them, and they were just laying down. And the screen was showing their heart rate, was showing everything that they were feeling. And the doctor was right next to me, and he was saying, "It's this right here." And I asked, "What is this? Can you explain to me a little bit more, doc? What's going on?" He's like, "So, these people, these soldiers, they're connected." And then when I say, "What do you mean connected?" I was talking to him. What do you mean connected?" He's like, "They're connected to other, other, other soldiers." So I asked him, and he's saying, "And they're also connected to mechanical machines." And I looked at him, and he's like, "Yes, they're."
JP, can you just kind of hold it there for a moment? So when you say these soldiers are connected to other soldiers, are we talking something like in the Avatar movies where
Yeah.
there's explain.
So he was explaining, and he was saying that their brain waves and their electrical waves were quantum connected to other soldiers that are working in the vicinity of our solar system. So, and I asked him, is it their clone, or do they have a clone? And do they have something connected to them? He says, yeah, they have their DNA in these other types of machine. So apparently we have machines out there, right? That they don't look human, but they're machines, but they're connected with their blood. Um, their blood is connected. It's like a not cyborg, but it's like the machine has a mechanism that has their blood, and they can connect with their consciousness through these machines. And I asked him, okay, so you connect with machines? I was trying to get more details before if I wanted to jump in. And he's like, yeah, they connect with other soldiers that look like them. And I'm like, are they clones? And he's like, they're not necessarily clones. I think he didn't want to tell me that they were clones, but in the way he told me that they were like type of clones, that people that look like you, and they just transfer you over there, and you work over there, and then they transfer you back in back home. So I asked him, have you guys done this with me before? He's like, yeah, we have done this with you, but now we're physically telling you now that to see if you're willingly to do it. So they have been doing it with me for a while. So I haven't had memory of this being done on, with these missions. And I told him, So what do you want me to do? Like, what, like, you want me to get into the bed, go into the machine, or go to something that looks like me and do what? And he said, like, they need you by the vicinity of Jupiter. They just need somebody like you. These guys are already over there. And I'm like, and I'm looking at the guys, and I'm looking at all the doctors working around. And my heart started like going off, you know? And I was not scared, but I was like, how about if they don't know that this is happening to them? You know, the soldiers that are laying down there. And I was kind of mad, you know, that they were doing this. And I said, where do you guys get approval to do this? Like, what's going on? You got the med beds. I know the med beds are down, you know, the hall, because I was put into one. And like, why is this information not out? And he's like, for this security of, you know, what's happening. And it's not only this nation doing this, there's other governments around the world that are doing this, and we're all collaborating. And this is just ancient technology that we have perfected, and we're here to do it. And I said, why not just go physically? He says it's kind of hard for the human body to keep traveling and going to space and going back and forth. So they developed this type of technology. And I said, how long this technology has been out? He said it's been out for like 50 to 60 years. The technology of transporting consciousness to machinery or to another person. So I did decline to do it, but he has said that I have done it before, and that I don't have memory of me doing it before. So it kind of makes sense with the different missions that I have been going through.
So it's very interesting that if they need someone in the vicinity of Jupiter, for example, that they can do it this way. Now, I know you've described going to Ganymede and spending time in Ganymede. Now, when you did that mission, was that, I mean, now that you know this, was that done physically? Like you travel on the ship all the way?
I felt it was physically. Yeah, I felt a body. I felt me. But now it's coming to light, you know? It's coming to light that it was probably like this that happened to me. But I physically felt going to Ganymede. Yeah. I physically wasn't a body that looked like mine. I didn't take off my helmet as much, but I did see my reflection, and it looked like me. And this can really tie into the, you know, what happened to Tony Rodriguez, tie into a lot of other people that have been going through these type of experiences. And then the drip drop with the movie Avatar, you know, and other whistleblowers that do missions, you know, and they have this technology, Doc. And I think that they're gonna release, like with the med beds, like the same time that we do have this technology in transporting consciousness into another thing and working and coming back and forth. It does drain the body like a jet lag kind of deal, you know, because your brain is still active. So you're physically not moving, but your brain is moving in another body. So your brain is still like being drained, you know?
Okay, so when it's done this way, your consciousness is transferred from some kind of laboratory where you are being held, or you know you're all hooked into this technology, and your consciousness is projected out to another body. You know, whether it's in Jupiter, whether it's whatever the planet, but that can happen like instantaneously, as opposed to like, putting together all the resources and sending you there on a ship.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he told me if I wanted to do it, and I declined. But he said, no, it's just anytime, you feel like helping us, just come down here, you're connected to us.
Okay, so, maybe this is a good point to just repeat that even though you retired from the US Army at the end of August, they still ask you to come in and do missions, but it's more on a voluntary basis like this.
A soldier is always a soldier, basically. Yeah. Once you're a soldier, you will never stop being a soldier. They train you and they put all this money into you to train you. So when they need you, they will use you. Okay. So anybody that's entering into the military, you're a soldier. You'll always be a soldier. It doesn't matter if you come out medically or they will still use you in a way. So if your mind is not broken, they will still use you. You could have a physical broken body, but if your mind is not broken, they will still use you in a way. So it's not sad. It's just a choice you took, and you swear, to protect this country no matter what, and to serve. So it is what it is. I chose. I know that you told me not to join, to think it twice, to think it three or four times, but I did not listen to you, Doc, and I joined. So it comes with consequences, and I think it could be good and bad, but I think for disclosure, this could be good because this information is coming out, and I got the green light to talk about this information. And it might sound far-fetched, but people will be out there listening. And I came from a conference that there was a lot of soldiers there that came up to me and thanking me about the information I was bringing. A lot of Navy soldiers, a lot of Army soldiers that have been going through these experiences, and they start crying and hugging me, saying, "Hey, thank you for this information, for getting the green light to talk about this. I know we can't talk about it, but thank you for bringing this information out." And they were like chiefs from the Navy, and other soldiers that were there, female and male soldiers that go through these experiences. And I'm really happy that if they chose me, it's because to talk for everybody, and I was quite nervous on stage without you, Doc. It was a beautiful experience,
Yeah, I wish I could be there.
Yeah.
So, but that's another important point, that you're still getting the green light from a superior officer. Now you've mentioned Eglin Air Force Base, so this kind of tells us a little bit about who's giving you the green light, but you're able to talk about these things, and it's okay. Whereas others are still constrained by their non-disclosure agreements and whatever threats are out there. So, again, people might ask, well, what makes you different, JP? How come you have permission to do this, but all the other soldiers are still like don't get the green light to talk about kind of like these active missions?
I think it has to do with generational experience, Doc. My father, my grandpa, they all had different types of experience, and the government knew. Back in the days, the government was really involved in Puerto Rico and Villegas, if you understand what was that. And we had the massive satellite dish there, the radio satellite dish there in Sidra, Puerto Rico. But now Puerto Rico has been and the military is not there no more. The radio telescope is not there no more. So, but back in the days when my father was living in Puerto Rico was really, really involved militarily. And I'm sure we have military bases in El Yunque is one of the biggest, smallest rainforests in Puerto Rico. So under the Yunque, there's probably an alien or alien joint military base there still active right in the Yunque. So Puerto Rico is really involved. So my grandpa lived in Puerto Rico. My father lived in Puerto Rico. Once my father moved over here to the States after that, I was born in upstate New York. And I guess the military left from Puerto Rico. I don't know if it was in the Bush administration that Villegas got vacant because of the bombs and training that they were doing in Puerto Rico, but they still have a guard over there, an army guard. They're still involved in Puerto Rico. But soon, I think if Puerto Rico becomes the 51st state, that possibly the governor, she's really good. She's a Republican, and she's really pushing right now for Puerto Rico to become the 51st state of the United States of America, or 52nd, if no other, if Trump doesn't use no other place, but they're really pushing right now, 2025, for Puerto Rico to become the 51st state. If that happens, the military will go back to Villegas, and Puerto Rico will be beautiful again. And I will probably move over there because Puerto Rico is the sister of Hawaii, and it's amazing. It's an amazing island.
Well, I've never been to Puerto Rico, but definitely it is a beautiful island from what I know. So in terms of the green light, I think one of the other things, and I discussed this in the book, was that the Nordics that you began having contacts with, that they reached agreements with the Air Force. And in those agreements, part of that involved you being protected and being able to talk about disclosure-related events. So that's another aspect, I think, in addition to Puerto Rico, your intergenerational kind of family ties there, and that it's the Nordics are involved. And that, I guess that means that the Nordics have a base in Puerto Rico too.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have a beautiful base in Puerto Rico, and and it's active because I think south part of Puerto Rico, they have one of the biggest trenches also in the Atlantic Ocean. It's really deep. The south part of Puerto Rico, the trench is really, really, really deep, and I'm sure they have ET bases under there that are active, really active.
So, as far as this kind of experience you had at Eglin, seeing the soldiers hooked up to some kind of monitoring equipment, and you being offered to be part of that. I mean, you declined for the moment, but do you think you will accept and do it next time? I mean,
yeah, I think I would accept and tap into it to see what's the deal. I think next time, yes, Doc. But I was going to a conference, so I did not want to do a type of mission and then come back and my mind be all scattered with this experience. Because when you come back from a experience, you're thinking all over the place, So I had to talk in this conference coming up, and I did not want that to affect me in any way, because I found it kind of like weird that they wanted to go through experience before a conference. They wanted the experience to be fresh, I guess, for the conference. So there's another base I'm going to talk about that I've been. It's called Navsciatts in Mississippi. I think that's another base that we're going to release today. I got the green light to talk about it, and that's where NASA works. And I was also in that base training, and they have this technology there as well, and they have it in a lot different other bases as well, including MacDill. That's the three bases that I know that they probably have this. They do have this technology. So we got MacDill, we got Eglin, and we got Navsciatts. That it's a Marine Navy joint military base, but also Army. So if you notice, all the three bases that I talked about, this really joint. They have all branches in these bases. It's not just the Air Force. So all the branches are involved in these bases. And
That's interesting. Interesting. So these soldiers that are hooked up and their consciousness is transferred, similar technology is at MacDill, is at Navsciatts, and of course you already mentioned Eglin Air Force Base.
yeah,
That is fascinating. Well, it'll be really good to hear what you experience when you actually go through
the process.
this process. Yeah, to kind of like, to have you describe exactly what happened, and I mean that'll be, I think, a very amazing experience. I know there's a lot of people that always want to know about the med beds and whether the med beds are being released. And in the past we've done, I think, one or two updates where you have personally gone into one of the med beds and was healed to a certain extent. So what's going on with the med beds now and the military releasing them for kind of veterans?
Well, they're gonna release it, but they're like releasing bits and pieces of information of it, and I guess they're debating which country is gonna release it first, because whoever releases this is gonna really benefit from it, I guess. So they're really debating if Russia or China or the U.S. or other countries that have had the technology to release this. And it's funny that only the nuclear powers have the technology to release it. So I guess these beds really carry some power or energy. They need an energy source that is different. I don't know if it's has to do with nuclear power or something like that. So whoever release these technology, because if they release med beds, they're gonna have to release this conscious technology as well. And like I said before, they're really careful of how they release this technology, because depending on who has this technology, if it's a bad guy or a good guy, they can use it for wrong or good. And I've been saying that. And any technology, we just have to be careful, how we release it. It could benefit a lot of people, but also if it falls in the wrong hands, it could be negative.
Thanks for that little update. So any final words you want to share with people about what's what's coming up and what you plan to do? And I know there's some conferences in the future that we both are scheduled to attend. So yeah, you want to talk about that?
I think we're gonna release my face soon. I think that's gonna happen, and it'll probably be in Charlotte. I think I'm getting the green light to release my face, or maybe before on a webinar or something that we do, a conference that we do, Doc. But yeah, it's gonna be an amazing year. A lot of things are moving around. A lot of truth are coming out. Like, for example, what's happening with the pyramids and different areas around the world about ancient technology that's going to come out and benefit humanity. So, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful ride, 2025, Doc.
Yeah, I think so. So, and for those that don't know, when you mentioned Charlotte, that's a conference, the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection Conference, that I believe is like September, I think 19 to 21, something like that. But that'll be held in Charlotte. We'll both be there, and that's a possibility for you to reveal your face and dispense with the helmet, and we enter a new stage. So yeah, that'll be awesome.
Okay, yeah, and it could be earlier. It could be earlier, depending about different situations about what's happening. So, I got a lot of people from Washington emailing me. So, it's quite interesting, the things that they're emailing me.
I'm sure you'll get a lot of interest from these military podcasters once you reveal yourself and the DD-214.
Yeah, I got all that. You have it.
Yeah.
So, and I got a lot of pictures that prove that I was in these areas. So, there's always going to be people that don't believe this type of thing, but I assure you that it's happening and these technologies do exist. Just study the release of the CIA papers, what is remote viewing or what is consciousness, or how consciousness work if you implement it with quantum entanglement. And these technologies do exist. It's just people right now, they're so brainwashed, Doc, that they're not really looking to what's happening. We're receiving waves right now in our phones that shows us images. Come on. And we don't have the technology to like go to anywhere in our solar system. We have it. We have all this happening, and they're just releasing it really, really slow, because of what's happening around the world. But we're all in this together, and whoever wants to understand, they would understand, and whoever don't want to understand, they don't have to understand, because it's their choice. But all this information is going to come out, and I'm really happy for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, JP, for sharing a fascinating update, and we do look forward to more in the future.
Roger that, Doc. It was a pleasure talking to you. Akuria mate. Much love to everybody. JP out.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.